Well, hi. I was just brushing some dust off my keyboard and apparently hit the shortcut that takes me to this scene. Also, I'm Sam and you're listening to Chilliteracy. What button did that? I'm confused. Let's continue finding weird shortcuts on my keyboard. Hi. Hello Llama from chat, I guess, and everyone else from chat. Hi. Hello, welcome in. How are you doing? The time was nearly up, to be fair. Smallcog, thank you for the 22 months. Hello, good time zone. Good to see you. Welcome in. So, I was aware that the timer was nearly done anyway, but I just thought I'd brush some tat off my keyboard because it accumulates there. And just, hey, why not go to this scene on OBS? What's this button? Horizontal layout. Oh, right, sorry, there's new buttons on OBS that I'd never noticed before. Hi. Now I'm paranoid because I don't know I know roughly the region. Somewhere on the numpad was a button that I pressed. But I don't know specifically which one. So maybe I'll just leave that there as a fun little landmine for me to stumble onto at another point in time. Won't that be an hilarious jape for us all to enjoy when it happens? Hi everybody, welcome in. I'm a little flustered. But you can call me Sam. And I hope that everyone is having as good as possible for me, Saturday evening. But for you, it could be any day. It could be Thursday, as far as I'm aware. Who knows? You appreciate accidental stream start? Well, thank you. I'll be honest, you might appreciate it more than I do. How is the weather? It is cooling down. I haven't actually run my fan. Ran? No, because that rhymes and then it sounds awkward. I haven't turned my fan on. That's going to spawn a new ship. At all today. So, presumably, the weather is cooling down enough to make things a little bit more bearable. It's warming up here, smiley face? Oh no. Sorry. I guess we sent the remainder of our heat wave your way. On the layup. Enjoy this one, France. Spike it home. It's been a little bit less oppressive yesterday, today, last couple of days. So it's I'm fine with that. I'd like it to stay summer for a while longer yet. It's only, oh boy, it was only just June last week, and now it's nearly August, and I hate this. It's Morocco sending a Sahara wind over again. You're being betrayed by your own blood. Oh no. Dang. Well, I mean, if it isn't the consequences of my own actions. Oh dear. Yeah. What? So, this isn't an encouragement to follow me on social media. I really wouldn't. I barely post anything these days. But if you're aware at all of the opinions I've been expressing lately, I'm currently trying to think of anything to talk about that's not Shoresy. And specifically, without going into spoilers, because if anyone does actually feel encouraged to go and watch Shoresy, you should watch not knowing what happens, just for like maximum emotional impact. But Andy Pants, hello, welcome in. Lucy and I finished watching season 3 of Shoresy the other day, and it's probably one of my favourite moments of television that I can think of, certainly in recent history. It did some tremendous work to sort of bring home the story and emotional impact that had been building for the last 3 seasons. For a show that's basically like, this guy is kind of a hockey goon who's getting on in years, and just sort of like, your immediate impression is this guy's just an asshole. He's just kind of an ass, but he's sort of lovable in a way, not just because it's his name on the show, and as to like bring you into his world and how he operates, and kind of really share his love of the game that he has, and to like deliver the emotional payload of everything that can go with that. It's kind of remarkable. Yeah, and in a way that is like, there's there's a few jokes that are perhaps a bit like, maybe tweak that one a little bit. There's a few possibly a few too many like fat jokes and your mum jokes and stuff like that. But there is also a really kind of bizarre, like, positive masculinity, wholesomeness underneath it all, which again I'd heard was there but wasn't like expecting to find in this show. And yeah, I don't know. I can talk more about it, but I also, I don't want to. I don't want to punch the mic arm for one, but also I don't want to bore people. Yeah. How are you all doing? How are you? Are you well? Are you good? We have some Nightlands to get through tonight. It might actually, assuming the fair winds hold up and the ship stays upright, we may actually start and finish an entire chapter, which is something we haven't done for a while. Monitor Lizard, hello, welcome in. How are you? How you were doing? Bookshop Simulator, did I see correctly? Hello. I hope that the bookshop was adequately simulated. I'm not sure. Bookshop in the Cotswolds. Oh, neat. That's sort of roughly where I'm from. I am curious how that affects things, or how it's represented in the game. Interesting. You think you're good? You haven't checked? That's fair. Sometimes it's best not to look. Pirelli, you're well enough. Well, yeah, can't ask for more. Your neighbourhood had a neighbourhood-wide garage sale. I'm going to say it that way, and you can't stop me. You got 2 records and 4 throw pillows? Hell yeah. Pillow fight. It looks straight out of Muppet's Christmas Carol, including snow. Then I am sorry to tell you that is an unrealistic depiction of the Cotswolds. Which I feel like I'm saying a little bit funny, but that's just the way my mouth has taken it this evening. It did sometimes snow, but mainly in the little, like, I should remember that it's a town or a village, but Chipping Norton is a place in the area. That's the one place that would snow. Everywhere else, no. But if Chippy got snow, then school got cancelled, and it was great. And also, Muppet's Christmas Carol would be more Dickensian London than the Cotswolds. So, it sounds like they're taking a bit of liberty. Also have American scones. Chipping Norton is the most ridiculously quaint name for a place you ever heard. Oh, let me tell you about Stanton Harcourt. Yeah. Look, if you if you ever want just a list of 1, quaint place names that could 2, be characters for your fantasy fiction series that you're writing, obviously, just look at a map of the UK, or a list of UK, like, town and village names. Go for the ones with 2 words, and yeah, you've pretty much got. If you like, that's a list of NPC names there, but there'll be NPCs that your players will try to interact with. This over there in the corner is Chipping Norton, and next to him is his brother Chipping Camberley. You know, they're twins. We stole all our players' names from you guys, but you didn't take any of the good ones. You miffed. You know, what can I say? You're America. That's. No, you're fine, Erin. It's the start of a stream. I'm distracted. I talk for half an hour, then complain, and the stream runs for 3 hours. That's what we do here. It's fine. You know this. We have a lot of upon river. Yes, we do that too. Yeah. You know, if you want to translate a lot of the names, it's on the river, by the river, has a river. Knocked a bottle of coke over, and now you're in possession of a grenade. Oh dear. Yeah, I mean, I could completely distract myself by just opening Google Maps, scrolling to a place, and reading some names. It's a good way to kill 2 hours. I hear about a lot of places just from watching mudlarking videos. For me, it's just no more than I've just described. Literally open Google Maps, scroll somewhere, and just look around, and it's like, oh yeah, that's 50 or 60 city place names. How many do you need? Lots of Riverspill settlements next to it, that is true. It's apparently what we did here. Yeah. I should probably start moving things storyward since we've actually got a sizable chunk. Which has reminded me that not in the first half, so we probably don't need to really talk about it till the break. But wasn't the UK's river network very good in the past too, as in ones you can boat on? Probably. I don't know it or the history of it, but I have certainly seen a good share of canal boats, and it's not just because the route that we used to go into Oxford would go over bridges. It's actually, no, that's a lie. It is mainly because the route that we used to take to go into Oxford went over a couple of bridges that were always frequented by canal boats. Pronunciation. See, I don't confidently know the pronunciation of that. Is that somewhere near Newcastle? Is it Howick? Howick? Yeah, it's got to be Howick, right? Or is it Howick? Howick? Oh yeah, I can see that. Like Ren Howick from Ren and Stimpy. The humans for a while were very good at building expanding rivers where they didn't really exist for canal purposes. As in moist. Lovely. Hoik. No, okay, I've got to put my hands up and say that's a silly one. That probably shouldn't be pronounced hoik. And I don't know if there's some like accented variation coming in between how you're writing it and how I'm saying it. But apparently it is. That's Hoik. Hawick. No, I can't defend that one. It's in Scotland. Oh, okay. Well, then that changes the rules a little bit. I was never going to get that one right. That's. I was doomed from the start. Can't get that. What was I going to say about the story for tonight? No spoilers, but the chapter is called "The Maid of the Olden Days." Sweet Colleen, the maid of the olden. No, anyway. And so you can infer from that quite reasonably, seeing as how we left off last time on The Nightland by William Hope Hodgson. We left off where he had seen the Lesser Pyramid. And I was like, frabjous day, Calloo Calais, chortling in his joy that he was going to like, he's found the pyramid, the Lesser Pyramid, and where Nani / Mirdath the Beautiful now resides. I'm going to go like knock on the door and like, hey, sup? So he's very excited to go and meet her. And this chapter is called The Maid of the Olden Days, so we can presume from that already, from the outset of this chapter, that they're going to meet. And with that, there will probably come some things that we can discuss, possibly not in the break, but certainly at the end. So, you know, just look forward to that. Yeah. I'll say no more. You can just... Are there gender politics? Got it in one. If we had brownie points to dish out, you could have one. But we don't. So, you know, there might be. So I guess what I'll do now, I will just get the caveat out of the way. What I'm about to read, again, it's not so much this half, I think, but more the second half. What I'm about to read, these are not, like, attitudes and opinions endorsed by either myself or Lucy as, you know, the people that read on this channel. These are this is the work of William Hope Hodgson, the author. You can take it up with him. This is not an endorsement. I'm just reading the story in front of me, and you know, I couldn't speak for him whether he thinks this is right or if this is just how he thinks his character should behave. But we'll get there. There's, you know, let's put a pin in that. Let's table it for now. We'll circle back in about 2 hours. But for now, if you want, I've got my feet up on the desk. Literacy Incorporated does not promote or endorse any of the viewpoints contained in this work of fiction. No, exactly. You've been looking at in-game books to read and also went with some other... Nope. Yeah. William Hope Hodgson isn't woke, heard it here first. No, we should get him to do an adaptation of the... Oh, I can't even... I know. No, bleh. Not even gonna... Ow, I gave myself... I hated what I was saying so much, I gave myself a cramp in the neck. That's a new one. Oh really, Elon? By the end of the year, you're going to have AI make a fully historically accurate adaptation of the Odyssey? Are they going to be speaking English? Anyway, on that bombshell, let's have a story. Let's stop saying silly things. That's me. This is not pointing at anyone else in chat. That's me stop saying silly things about inconsequential people who do not deserve the oxygen of attention. Historically accurate, it's a literal myth. No. The Cyclops is real. Anyway, if we're sitting comfortably, those of you that are still here, either here on Twitch or on YouTube, we're reading from chapter 10. It's pinned either at the top of chat if you're watching live, or just below this video in the detail, in the description, that's the word, on YouTube. So if you wish to read along, there you go. But yeah, let us continue now with The Nightland by William Hope Hodgson. Chapter 10. The Maid of the Olden Days. Now, as you shall perceive, all mine utter despair was turned in a moment into a huge gladness and a great hope, so that it did seem to me that I should be with my dear one in but a little while. Yet was this an over-hope and expectation, and was not like to have a swift satisfying. For, truly, I was made aware of naught, save that I did perceive the shape of a great pyramid, going upward into the night. And I knew that the pyramid did surely stand upon a hill in the midst of that dark country, for only so might it show so great and high. and I set me to run swift downward into the land, so that I should make a strong going unto the pyramid. And I ran for a few little minutes, and lo, I fell headlong, and did truly feel as that I had brake my neck with the hardness and pain of my fall. And I had no power to go forward any more for a great while, but did just be there where I did fall, and very helpless, and moaning a little, so that any creature had been able to slay me, if that it had come upon me in that time. Yet presently I was able to sit upon the earth, and did hold my neck with my hands, and afterward the pain went away, so that I gat once more to my feet. But now I went forward very wisely, and had, moreover, an anxiousness in my heart. For, indeed, how did it be that the pyramid was so utter dark, if that it did be the lesser refuge in truth? And immediately there did rise in me a fear that it should be some house of evil in the dark of that land, or some wicked force working a pretence and bewilderment upon my sight. Yet, truly, the thing was plain now against the far-off fires of the land, and I did have little thought but that it should be, in verity, the lesser refuge. Now, in the first moment that I did perceive the dark pyramid, I had been without wit, save to run very quick and blind unto the place, or you to remember how long I had made so great a search. And afterward I had been minded to call unto Nani with my brain elements, sending the master word, and my speech after, to tell how that I was come unto her. But now I did heed to have caution, and to discover what this darkness should truly mean. And so did I go downward again into the night of that land, at the first with a carefulness, but presently with a fierce eagerness and expecting of the heart, the which had been dulled a little time with the horrid shaking and pain of my fall. Now I had climbed unto the upper plain of the great volcano in, maybe, 13 hours, but I went downward of the great hill in 10, and had made a greater speed, but that I was sore shaken and unsure by reason of my fall. And in the end of the 10th hour I perceived that I was come again to the great plain of the land, and I had no more any proper sight of the refuge, because that it was upward afar in the darkness of the night. Yet I was able now to see that there went a bulk between me and the far shinings, and did know that this great thing was surely the hill on which the pyramid did stand. And I went 4 hours across the land, and did pass in this place and that fire-holes that made a little red shining in the night, and because of the fires in those far parts and anear, there was not an utter dark. And when I was gone 4 hours towards the pyramid, I could no more see the distant shinings, for the bulk of the hill bottom stood up between, and made all a blackness that way. And by this thing I did guess that I was come nigh unto the hill, but yet was a great hour more before that I came to it. And in that 5 hours, since I was come down from the great volcano, there had passed me thrice and again the sounds of things running in the night, and once there did be a sound as of a giant roaring afar, and a strange and horrid screaming. Now I began to go up the hill, and at the first an utter excitement took me in the heart, so that I could have shouted the name of the maid aloud in the night, with vain hopings that she should hear me and make an answer. But this state went from me very swift, as I did go upward, and there came a caution again about me, and a coldness of fear, as that my spirit did wot of something that my heart did not perceive. And presently I was come upward almost to the top of the hill, the which took me nigh 3 hours. And surely when I was come that I could see the grimness of the pyramid, going upward very desolate and silent into the night, lo, an utter shaking, fear did take me. For the sweet cunning of my spirit did know that there abode no human in all that great and dark bulk, but that there did await me there monstrous and horrid things that should bring destruction upon my soul. And I went downward of the hill, very quiet in the darkness, and so, in the end, away from that place. And I was 4 great hours before that I was come clear away from the hill, and I did feel that there was not any safety for my spirit in all that land. And surely I went a little blindly in the first, and did go with no heed unto my way. And presently I was upon the shore of an olden sea, and had no knowing how that I was come there. For surely I did think it to be a great way off. But now I do think that the dry bed of the sea did curve around unto that place, or that there did be 2 or more olden seas in that country of night. Now, presently, I sat me down, very weak and bewildered, for it was that my heart did lie dead within me, and, in verity, you shall perceive how this thing was, for I did know by the tellings of my spirit that there abode evil things in the dark pyramid upon the hill. And I doubted not but that destruction had come upon the peoples of the lesser pyramid, and that evil creatures and powers did now abide in that place. And if this thing did truly be so, I was come over late to the saving of the maid. And with this thought I was very glad that some evil thing should come, that I should fight with it and die quickly, for there was naught then in all the world to make me glad to have life. And so shall you know the utter desolation that was in my heart, and truly I can perceive both the wiseness and the unwisdom of my reasonings. For, indeed, I did have no sure knowing that the dark pyramid did be truly the lesser refuge. But yet, in verity, my spirit did know with a certain sureness, and there was no doubt concerning this thing in all my being. And after that I had sat there a while, I did mind me suddenly that I should send the master word through the night. For, indeed, how else might I ever know whether Nani did yet live? Though, in truth, I had little, save desperate hope in this matter, but yet did remember how that I had seemed odd times of my journey to hear the beat of the master word within my spirit, and out of all the dark of the world. And, in verity, if Nani answered not to the word, but there came instead an evil power to destroy me, I should but cease me of mine utter heartache. And I stood me upon my feet, and looked outward about me into the blackness of that land, and I sent the master word with my brain elements, and immediately I called Nani thrice, sending the call with my brain elements. And lo, in a moment, as it did seem, there broke around me out of all the mystery of night, low and solemn, the master word beating in the night. And immediately there did sound within my brain a far, small voice, very lone and faint, as that it had come from the end of the world. And the voice was the voice of Nani and the voice of Mirdath, and did call me by mine olden love name. Then, indeed, I did near to choke with the utter affright of joy that did take me in the heart, and also I was shaken with a mighty excitement, and my despair was gone, as that I had never known it. For, in verity, Nani did live, and did call unto me with her brain elements, and surely I had not heard the voice of mine own for an utter age of grim labour and dread. And the voice was, as I did say, as that it came from one that did be in a far place of the earth. And, in verity, whilst I stood dazed with a great joy that the maid did live, I knew within me, concerning the fear that she was utter far off, and what peril might come anigh to her before that I should stand to her side, to do battle for her life and well-being and mine own joy. And lo, in the same moment, and before that I made further speech unto Nani, I did wot that someone did be a little way off from me, in the bushes, where a fire-hole did burn anigh to me. And it was as that my spirit knew this thing, and told of it unto my brain. And I made no answer unto the maid, across all the dark of the world, but went very swift into a great bush that was nigh to the fire-hole upon this side. And I looked through into the open space that did be about the fire-hole, and there was a little figure that did kneel, sobbing, upon the earth beside the fire-hole, and truly it was a slim maid, and she did seem as that she harked very desperate, excuse the motorbike, even whilst yet she did sob. And surely mine own soul did know, all in one white moment of life, that and she there, unknowing, and harking unto a cry of the spirit, that she did think to come through all the desolation of the night, even from the mighty pyramid. For oft, as I did perceive, had she cried unto me in all that lonesome month, and known no answer, neither that I was making a desperate way unto her, for indeed her weakness was great, and so that she had no power to throw the word strongly afar, neither to make plain her spiritual cryings through any mighty space of the aether. And lo, I drew in my breath, and set my teeth a moment to steady my lips, and I said, Mirdath, out of the bush where I did be, and using natural human speech. And the maid ceased from her weeping, and looked this way and that, with an utter new fear, and with a frightened hope that did shine with her tears in the light from the fire-hole. And I divided the bush before me, and went through the bush, so that I came out before her, and did be there in my grey armour, and I did pause then, and was all adrift in myself, for my heart said that I should take this maid into mine arms again, or that I was come again to be with Mirdath after an utter lost eternity. But yet was I all paused, for truly she was Nani, and she was Mirdath, and she did be a stranger in mine eyes, and very dainty and pretty and shaken with woe, and sore trouble and grief. And in that same moment of my coming unto her out of the bush, she screamed, and fell back from me, and strove weakly to gain unto the hither bushes, for truly she knew not what was come upon her in that first little moment. And immediately she saw that it did be a human man, and no monster to slay her, and in that instant I said the master word unto her, aloud, that she should have knowledge of peace and help. And I told my name, and said I am that one. And she knew this thing, even as my lips made the sounds, and she cried out something in an utter broke voice, and ran unto me, and thrust her two small hands into my charge and keeping, and fell thence into a great sobbing and shaking, so that I was all in trouble to ease her, but did keep a silence, and held fast her hands, for I had not on mine armoured gloves. And she leaned against me, very weak, and seeming wondrous like to a child. And lo, in a while she ceased to sob, but did but catch her breath this time and that, and said no word. And I bethought me that she did suffer for hunger, for I perceived that she had been long wandering and alone, and was come unto the end of hope, when that I did come. And the maid stood there yet silent, for she might not yet command her mouth to speak, and she trembled as she stood, and I opened my left hand, and looked at the hand within my palm, and surely it was utter thin and wasted. And I made no more pause, but lifted mine own, and set her easy upon the earth, with a hump of smooth rock unto her back. And I stripped off my cloak very quick, and put it about her, for she was scarce covered, and with her clothes that had been all torn among the bushes, so that part she took with an utter chill, and part because of weakness, for she was nigh to be starved unto her death, and destroyed with her grief and lonesomeness. And I took from my back the scrip and the pouch, and I gat a tablet from the scrip, and brake it into my cup, and with the water I made a little broth very swift upon a hot rock that was to the edge of the fire-hole. And I fed the broth unto the maid, for truly her hands did shake, so that she had spilt it all, if that I had done otherwise. And she drank the broth, and was so weak that presently she did fall again to sobbing, yet very quiet, so that I strove not to be troubled in the heart, for, indeed, this thing was but reasonable, and not cause for me to have an anxiousness. But I put my hands under the cloak, and took her hands into mine, and held them strong and firm. And this did seem to bring something of peace and strength unto her, so that presently the trembling and the weeping went from her, and, indeed, the broth was surely helpful in this matter. And presently I knew that her hands did stir a little within mine, and I loosed somewhat of my grip, and immediately she grasped my hands with a weak and gentle grasp, but looked not yet at me, only did stay very quiet, as that she did gather her strength within her. And indeed I was content, save that the anxiousness of the heart did stir in me this time and that, lest some monster should come upon us. And because of this trouble I did hark about me now and oft, and with a new and strange fearfulness of danger, because that now mine own was given unto my charge, and surely my heart would break, if that there came any hurt unto her. Now, of a sudden, the maid did make as that she would rise, and I loosed free from her to give help. And she gat me by the hand, and slipped sudden to her knees, and did kiss my hand, and did begin again to weep. And surely I was so utter abashed that I stood very stupid, and let her do this thing. But in a moment I drew free from her, for this thing might not be. And I gat me to my knee likewise before her, and took her hands, and kissed them once, newly humbled, as it were. And thus should she know all that was in my heart, and of mine understanding. And she did but sob the more, for she was so weak, and utter moved unto me, because that I had come to her through the night of the world. And this thing I knew, though no speech had yet passed between us. And I gave up her hands, lest she need them for her tears, but she left them to lie in my palms, as she did kneel there. And she bowed her head a little over her weeping, but did show that she was mine, in verity, unto the very essence of her dear spirit. And I took her into mine arms, very gently and without caress. But presently I stroked her hair, and called her Nani and Mirdath, and said many things unto her, that now I scarce do wot of, but she did know them in the aftertime. And she was very quiet in mine arms, and seeming wondrous content, but yet did sob onward for a great time, and oft did I coax her and say vague things of comfort, as I have told. But truly she did ask no more comfort at that time than that she be sheltered where she did be. And truly she had been lonesome in terror and in grief and dread a great and horrid time. Now, presently she was grown quiet, and I made to put her comfortable in the cloak against the rock, that I should have freedom to make her more of the broth. But yet she did nestle unto me with a little sweet wistfulness that made warm my heart in a most wondrous fashion, for surely she was mine own, and she to begin to say odd words to me, and so to have gentle obedience, and to rest quiet against the rock, the while that I did make the broth. Yet ever her gaze did follow me, as I knew, for I must look oft her way. And I took the broth to her, and she drank it, using her using her own 2 hands. And I sat by, and eat 3 of the tablets, and drank some of the water, for truly it was a foolish great time since last I had eat. Now, in a while the broth did make bright the eyes of the maid, and she did begin to talk, and at whiles had pauses, because that she lacked of strength, and there was more to be told than a human may have the heart strength and cunning to make plain. And twice she did come again to sobbing, for truly her father was dead, and the peoples of the lesser redoubt all slain and dispersed through the night of that land. And I learned that an evil force had made action upon the peoples within the lesser redoubt, so that some, being utter weak by reason of the failing of the earth current, had opened the great door and gone forth into the night. And immediately there had come into the lesser pyramid great and horrid monsters, that had made a great and brutish chase, and had slain many, but some had escaped forth into the night. And with these had come Nani, after that her father, the master Monstruacan, had been slain by a shaggy man, very brutal and monstrous. And there had been 3 maids with Nani, when that she made escape into the night, but there had come certain creatures upon them, as they did sleep among the bushes, and had stolen 2, and the other maid had run off, as did Nani, and they had neither met the other any more. And this dreadful happening unto the peoples of the lesser redoubt had been a great while gone, as it to seem to her, but she had no means to tell me how long this time should be, for, in verity, how should she make account? Yet had it been a dread long while unto her, and I found presently that she had been lost through all that time that I did make my journey unto her. For, indeed, this thing I discovered by asking concerning my callings unto her, and she had heard none that did come to her in any time since she had escaped out of the lost refuge into this dreadful land. Yet, in verity, oft had she callen unto me, until that her heart did grow sick with the desolation of her lonesomeness and her utter forsakenness. And her callings had told unto the evil things of the land that she did be in this part and that, for there had come things and beasts in search for her, but having the gift of the hearing, she had known of their approach most whiles, and had come free from them. Yet oft times with piteous and fearful runnings, and hiding among the rocks and the bushes, so that she had grown afterwards to make no calling unto me, save odd whiles, lest she bring the monsters upon her. And indeed, as you do know, naught had come plain unto me, for she was so utter weak that she had no power of her brain elements to send the word afar or the tellings of her spirit. And because that she was sorely chased, she had come nigh to be naked, even as I found her, for the bushes and the rocks had torn her garments from her, and she had naught with which to make any proper mending of them. And for food she had eat the moss upon the rocks, and odd strange berries and growths, and had drunk of the waters of the hot springs. And oft had she been made utter sick, because of the sulphur, or somewhat, of the water, and maybe the poison of odd plants. Yet, as I did think, it was like that the first did save her from the second. But in this thing I do make only a guessing. and in all that dreadful time, since that she had come to be quite alone, she had heard a score drear things. For there had been once the slaying of a young maid nigh unto her by some brute out in the darkness of the land. And thrice and more had she heard the feet of people running this way and that, and the tread of giants pursuing. And by this telling I did understand those things which mine ears had told to me as I did go across that land. And surely a new pity and sorrow and horror did come upward within me. And the maid told me how that she came once upon certain of the peoples of the lesser redoubt, as they did hide among the bushes. But they ran, with no heed to her callings that she did be human, even as they. And by this it is plain the sore and dreadful panic that was upon the hearts of such. And the bitter chill of the land had made her to strive alway to be nigh unto the fire-holes that were very plentiful. But even as this did be needful unto her, so was it a thing that drew the monstrous brutes of that land, even as I had found in the Nightland and in the upward gorge. And because of this she was oft made to stay afar off in the utter cold of the night. Yet, in truth, odd whiles she did be so desperate that she would make the venture, and so mayhaps have a time of warmth. And because of this she had been nigh slain in her sleep, twice and thrice. Moreover, there were snakes about the fires, though not over plentiful in all parts, and there did be spider crabs and monstrous scorpions. And indeed, even as she had lain by the fire-hole, very weak and seeming near unto death, even this time, when my call had come unto her, to stir her unto life, and bitter knowledge of despair, even then was she all surrounded by creatures that were like to crabs, that did squat all about her, and did but wait for her to die, so that she had been feared to sleep, lest they destroy her in her slumber. And by this thing she had known that her death was surely nigh, and lo, out of all the night of the world had come the beat of the Master Word, strong and powerful, beating as a low and spiritual thunder out of all the dark of the night. Yet had she thought of me only as speaking from the far-off mighty pyramid, so that the cry had brought naught of hope unto her, but only a newer and more known despair. And behold, in a little minute there had come her name, spoken surely with the tongue, and a name that was different from the name that my spirit had said after the beat of the word. And immediately I had come out of the bush, and she had fallen back in a sudden great fear that a monster was stolen upon her, and then did see a young man in grey armour, and did know in one instant that I was that olden one of her memory dreams, and the one that had spoken unto her in the spirit across half of the dead world, as it did seem. And now was I come through all that unknown desolation and affright to succour her. And she was immediately safe, but yet all broken because of her weakness and her utter joy and her sweet honour of me. And this is the chief of that which she did tell unto me, and the way that she had seen and did regard the marvel of this our coming together. But surely no man was made ever to be worthy of the way that she did look upon me, or of the words that she did say unto me in her weakness and happiness. Now, with the maid having speech concerning the spider-crabs, I looked presently well around, and surely, in a minute, I saw that they were not gone away, but did be a circle of silent and steadfast watching and impudence and horror all about us. And surely this thing put an anger and disgust upon me, so that I gat to my feet and went unto the border of the light, and I spurned this little monster and that, and did truly kick maybe a dozen before that they were content to be gone. And by this thing shall you know of their calm and foolish assurance. but yet were they seemingly without courage, for they made not to attack me. Yet a true crab of this day been wishful to pinch me, had I put my toe forth unto it. Now I went back to the maid, and she did laugh with a little weak gleefulness, so that I perceived that she was like to be a very joyous maiden, if but I did have her in health. And I made her another cup of the broth, and she drank it very easy, and afterward I made a very stern and playful order that she must sleep, and, indeed, she to need it sore, for she was gone again from her excitement, and her weakness upon her, yet very happy and content and without fear. And I made a smooth place for her, and put the pouch and the scrip to be for a pillow, and I did lay her there very quiet and sweet in the cloak, and covered her feet. But, indeed, I saw first that they did be sore cut, and without any gear to them, so that I perceived that mine own had worn out her foot-gear utter in her lonesome journeyings, and in running from brutes that did come to find her. And so I to know more in the heart somewhat of the true dreadfulness and fear that had companioned mine own. And I was minded then that I would wash and bind up her feet, but yet was she so utter worn, that I did prefer that she sleep so soon as she might, and afterward, when she was come wakeful again, then I should take a proper heed of her feet, and truly they were very small and shapely. And presently she slept, and surely I doubt whether she had slumbered so peaceful and proper for a great month, for she never to have known when any evil thing should come upon her in her sleep, and this to be a very dreadful feeling, as you do know well, for you do know how I had been in this same matter. And that is where we are going to take a break, when we have established the important plot point that Nani has small, shapely, beautiful feet. I'm going to send you on a break. We'll see you back here in 5 minutes, where I'm sure we can discuss this sensibly. See you in a bit, friends. Bye for now. we're back from the break correctly on time because I didn't accidentally hit a shortcut that surprised me by coming back early. Hello everybody. Hi, welcome. Squirrel, I realise I forgot to thank you for the resub before the break. Thank you for the 28 months. 28? 26. No, I'm not trying to upsell. Thank you for the 26 months. Much appreciated. I hope you're doing well. Napping for half an hour before you go to work. You might still be around. Thank you, Smallcock. Yeah, I'm glad to be back. It's nice. What things were said in chat that I can now catch up on? For some reason, you imagine the pyramid to be like the Destiny 2 pyramid-like thing, all shiny and black. We're not expecting there to be bushes. Well, I think it's like I think in this, the pyramid is made of the grey metal, kind of the same stuff as the armour. And the bushes and foliage and shrubbery and stuff are just like they're just in the Nightland. They're outside of the pyramid. If that's what you mean. Are there any books where the man is the sobbing one and or the one who is like a child? Hey, guess what you just did with that? You just set me up to talk about Shorzy again. Sorry. Look, it's gonna be a thing. Okay, next time you got both me and Lucy on here together, we'll talk about it more. But it's honestly one of the things that's kind of endearing about the show and the guy. That, you know, he's built and looks like just sort of a hockey thug, and it's kind of played off as a joke early on that like that there are certain things that will set him off and make him cry, and you know he will just like cry in front of people like the Canadian national anthem's playing, he will just start kind of sobbing, and little things like that. But actually it's sort of it becomes this kind of really like affecting character note for him, for, as I say, a show that it presents as just this kind of silly blokey like man-child comedy about hockey players who are all kind of getting on a bit and desperate to win a game, and it's real good. It's a show that it does the thing that I love that some comedy shows are able to do, of using an effective contrast of comedy with other emotions to like really deliver some kind of emotional punch through how it mixes these things, rather than just like jokes all the time. You can actually deliver some more sort of complex emotional responses, induce more complex emotional responses, make your audience feel things, and not even just like comedy and tragedy, but other stuff too. And yeah, it's real good. Now, on the Nightland, where we left in the middle of chapter 10, we had just had Mirdath's feet described as small and shapely. And if you were thinking this is the only time that's going to be mentioned, no, you're wrong. Why would you expect that? I don't know what the man in the street is shouting, but he seems to want everyone around to know it. So that's cool. Yeah. How are you, chat? Are you keeping up? Are you keeping tabs? There were some other bits that I enjoyed in that chapter. Immediately, like as soon as the chapter starts, he seems to like throw his hands in the air and just run down a hill as fast as he can, and within seconds just like Family Guy falls baff straight into the ground and just lies there dead. Which I don't think is written for comedy, but the way that it happens, and then it's like, yeah, he discovered gravity, and the way that it happens, and then that he keeps talking about it, it feels kind of funny. And I ran, this is literally like second paragraph, and I ran for a few little minutes, and lo, I fell headlong, and did feel truly as that I had break my neck and the hardness, so with the hardness and pain of my fall, and I had no power to go forward any more for a great while, but did just be there where I did fall, and very helpless and moaning a little, so that any creature that had been able to slay me, if that it had come upon me in that time, just lying there like, ow, ow, like the, say that, or what, yeah, what I'm thinking is the Family Guy, like, Willy Wonka parody, where, like, Peter's got the golden ticket, and he's running home, so, run home, Peter, runs home, and then trips, and, like, skins his knee, and he's just like, and it goes, like, they do the thing that sometimes works, where you drag it, you do the joke, you drag it on past the point of being funny, and then keep going with it, just repeating the same bit until it comes back around to being funny because you've been doing it for so long. It's a good bit. And then later on, like just at the end of where we were, where Nani is like, hey, just, you know, there's a whole bunch of spider crabs that, like, they're not harmful. They're just waiting for you to, you know, the scavengers. They're just waiting for someone to die, and then they can eat them. And it's like, what? And goes, looks at, like, the edge of the light around the fire pit that they're hanging out by. Sees a bunch of spider crabs and is like, right, let's go. And just runs up to them and starts kicking them. And is, you know, actively keeping score. I spurned this little monster in that, and did truly kick maybe a dozen before that they were content to be gone. It's like, that's 12 of you. Go on, who's next? And then he has to get in the final word. But yet were they seemingly without courage, for they made not to attack me. They're not even attacking. They're just standing there watching him getting kicked. That yet a true crab of this day yet a true crab of this day been wishful to pinch me, had I put my toe forth under. It's like, you're not even good crabs. Good crabs would have tried to pinch me for all the kicking that I was doing. You rubbish crabs, you terrible, you poorly evolved crabs. You've not even fully attained carcinization this far off in the future. You mediocre crabs didn't even bother to pinch my toe. Bruv, leave him alone. Chill. You're not impressing anyone. But no. Poor things, exactly. He's picking fights with crabs. How insecure do you need to be to, like, count score the crabs that you've gone and kicked? Anyway. Remember that, like, not warning. I'm not issuing, like, a content warning for this. Exactly. But just a little, like, I addressed it at the start of the stream, that there may be some, let's call it gender politics, in this chapter. I don't know beyond, because I've not read beyond this chapter, but certainly in this one, that's what's coming up in the second half of this chapter. Our protagonist, that one, there he is, that guy, it's him, has finally found Nani Mirdath. Nap successful when I have to get up and get ready for work. Well, I hope work goes well. Now that he has finally found her and met her, and I tried to draw a little bit of attention to what he was saying about how, you know, if anyone were to, like, basically how he would feel if any harm were to come to her, if anything bad at all should happen to her, any like the threat, the harm, the risk that she is under out in this nightland of being, harmed by anyone out there. Yeah, just keep that in mind, I guess. Anyway, if we're all ready, you have a thank you, Squirrel. You have a good rest of the day. If we're all ready, and remember where we left off from, we shall continue from where we left off from, and I shall keep reading into the second half of The Nightland by William Hope Hodgson. Chapter 10 continued. Now, while Nani did sleep, I stripped off mine armour, and took off mine undersuit, which was named the armour suit, and a very warm and proper garment, and made thick that it should ease the chafe of the armour, and afterwards I put on the armour again. But the suit I folded, and laid beside the maid, for truly she was nigh unclothed by reason of the bushes and the rocks, that had rent her garments allwise. And I stood watch for the maid the while that she did slumber, and surely she went 10 long hours, and I walked upon this side of the fire-hole, and now upon that, and did oft cease, that I might hearken both with mine ears and with my spirit. For truly I was all wakened to new care and delight, and did have a fresh and doubled fear of any horrid creature or force of evil. And this shall be very plain to you. And in the end of 10 long hours the maid wakened, and I ran to her all joyed that she was come again to knowledge, and to be that I could talk with her. And she sat upward and looked at me, and there was new light and movement in her, so that I knew her strength was come back into her. And for a little minute she said naught to me, the while that I did ask how she did be. And she looked at me very keen, so that I wondered somewise in a daze what was in her mind. And she asked me of a sudden how long it did be since that I had slept, and having not thought to put away her asking, because that the question was over sudden, I said 84 hours, which should be 3 days and the half of a day of 4 hours and 20. And this thing I knew because that I kept alway a very careful counting of the hours, lest that I get all adrift, and know not how long I was taken to come to this place and that. And truly, even as I told this thing to the maid, I was grown very quaint in the head, for indeed I was gone a wondrous while without slumber, and had done much and bitter work in that time, and before then had been much lacking of rest, as you do know. And sudden the maid cried out something, and tossed the cloak from her, and had me into her arms, and did heed not to have any foolish shame of her nakedness. And in verity I knew not how I was gone so strange, but do see now that I was nigh to swoon for lack of slumber and rest. And she kept me very steady for a little, and afterward helped me to be laid upon the ground, and she put the scrip and the pouch under my head, so that I did lie very calm and restful, and did be the more so, because that I was grown so tired in the heart, the which did make my head to be very hushed, as that all the world was grown very quiet in a moment. And the maid did mind then that she did lack to be properly covered, and she gat the cloak, and put it about her, and did afterward sit a little beside me, and did rub my hands. And presently I was something more to myself, and she did grow more happy of her mind, and made to give me something for my stomach. For, indeed, I was grown those late hours to be foolish, and to have no wiseness to proper eating. And she did lift my head, the while that she did take the scrip from under, and kept me very sweetly upon her knee, and so until she had gat free a pack of the tablets, and the flask and the cup, for I had put all matters back into the scrip before Nanny had gone unto sleep, and because of this I had not been able to eat or drink aught, save by wakening her, as you perceive. For indeed I had put the scrip and the pouch under her head for a pillow, as I have told. And she would not bide that I should do aught, but only did ask concerning the making of the water, and was wondrous amazed to see how the powder did fizz up and become water. And indeed she had too much into the cup, for truly it rose up and ran to the ground. And when she had done thus, and ceased to marvel, she put 3 of the tablets into the water, and made me a broth, even as I had made a broth for her. But indeed I was in no need, and had done very well to eat the tablets and drink the water. Yet truly I was not wishful to lack the love of her way, as you may think. Now while I did drink the broth, I did be very restful upon the earth, and mine head against mine own maid. And I did mind me now that I tell her concerning the armour suit that I did mean for her to wear. Yet I said not that I had stripped it from me, for then she had been like to say nay, and to trouble that I was like to come to a chill, as is the way of a woman. But indeed I might so well have told her, for truly she did know on the moment, and set to a little unto weeping, yet very gentle and sweet, and did kiss me as I lay there, and say such things as should make a young man the better to have heard, if but that his own dear love doth say the same. And she would no wise wear the garment, but yet in the end I prevailed by gentle reasonings, and because that I was her master, as I was born to be, and moreover her own sweet sense did show that I spoke for wisdom. For how should she come through all the bitter way before, if that she had not a strong and close-made garment? And, as you do mind, her coverings did be in utter rags, as I have told, yet very sweet and clean, as I had known, so that I ween she had stripped off in the lonesome night, and washed her garments in this or that hot spring of the sulphur waters and other matters. And in verity always she was much given to washings, as I did soon perceive. Now presently I did be very well again, but with a sore slumber that did press upon my head. Yet ere I should sleep, I did mean that I bathe her feet and bind them with ointment and with my pocket-cloth, and truly her feet were very small and pretty. And I sat me up, taking my head from her knee, and told her of mine intent. But in verity she did but throw her arms about my neck, and give me one loving kiss, and laughed so hearty that I did think to do this thing, when indeed she was the better able to mind it, and I the better suited to have me to my rest. And surely this was very true, and I made no ado, save to give her the ointment, but lay back and did be quiet. Now I did be upon my right side, and she went to my back, and took the cloak from about her, and spread it upon me, and afterwards stooped over very dainty, and kissed me, and bade me to go very swift to my sleep, for that she did mean to make her toilet and get into mine armour suit. And I made no foolishness in this matter, yet told her to ease the cloak a little about me, so that I should have room to take the discus from my hip. And this thing I did, and took the discus to my breast, as was my habit. And surely I saw that her eyes did look at me with a little shining, because that I had so strange and fierce a bedmate. And I made her to promise that she keep a very keen harking, the which was like that she should do, and to call me on the instant that she did perceive any unease in the night. And after that I shut mine eyes, that I should not shame her, and put out mine arms, and kissed her once, and turned from her unto my slumber, and she away to my back, that she might be modest to her needs. And surely I was asleep in but a little moment, and with a great love and delight in my heart and in all my being. And truly I waked not for 12 great hours, and when that time was gone, lo, I came awake, and surely the maid did sit beside me, so bonny, and so winsome and pretty, that mine arms went unto her in a moment, and she into them, and gave me a loving and tender kiss, and afterwards slipped away from me, very sensible and loving, and did stand up and turn about to be looked at. For she did wear the armour suit, and surely it was loose upon her, but yet very pleasing, being close knit. And I to my seat, from lying, that I might see the maid the better. And in verity I must kiss her again, for she did be with her hair all about her, that she looked pretty unto me, and her little feet did be bare, and so that they made my heart new tender to look upon them, for truly she was lost, utter lost of footgear, and I to my knee to her, and she, not to deny me, did come to be kissed again. Now when I found how great a time I had slept, I did scold mine own, but yet, as she did say, I must have long slumber, if that I go so long wakeful, else should I lose my strength. And I asked how oft she had eat, and she told me but the once, and that 6 hours off. And on this I did scold again, but surely she put a very pretty finger sudden upon my lips, so that I might do naught but laugh and kiss that same finger. And after that we did eat and drink and make plans, and once I did comfort the maid, for indeed her sorrow did rise in her, because that her father was come unto his death, and the peoples of the lesser redoubt all destroyed, and adrift in the night amid the monsters of that land. And in verity I was set that we go quickly out of that place, ere there came a horrid destruction upon us, and surely there should scarce be any human beside in all that land, for there must have come death upon the chief of those that did make escape. And after we had eaten and drunk, I did count the packs of the tablets, and was thankful in all my being that I had been careful and denied my belly, for I did perceive that there were left enough for our needs, if that we made a good speed, and did not fear to be empty. And of the water powder, as it might be named, there were left 2 full flasks, and somewhat of that one that I had drunk from all my journeying. And by this thing you shall perceive that we did not be like to die for the need of such matters. And here, as it doth occur to me, I do ponder how it did be that we had no thought to slay any small creature for our food. But, mayhap, we had no knowledge this way, for surely they did not this thing to my knowing in the mighty pyramid. But yet, as I have said before this, I have not all knowledge of the doings of the peoples. But, in verity, I never saw joint meat in all the time of that far life that I do wot of. Yet had we but slain somewhat for our hunger in that great wandering, we had been less empty in the belly. Now, before that we should do aught beside, we must contrive that Nani have some gear for her feet, and to this intent I did make a search into the pouch, and surely I found that there did be a change pair of inner shoes that were made to go within mine own shoes of the grey metal. And at this I was wondrous glad, and did make the maid to sit upon a little rock, while that I made a fitting of the shoes. And surely they did be utter big and clumsy upon her little feet, so that I was in surprise to know how great is a man beside a maid. But in the end I had a cunning thought, for I cut off all the side of a strap, throughout the length of the strap, very thin and careful, and so had a lace to tie the boots round the tops, which were soft and easy for such a purpose. And after that I stood away to look at the maid, and neither she nor I were truly pleased. For indeed she was too pretty to be so hid and muffled, yet were we glad otherwise, for now she might go without hurt to her feet. And afterward we packed our gear, And she did make a bundle of her torn garments, for truly they might be proper somewise to our need. And so we began the way out of that desolate land. And we went forward together across the land, and the journey was no more a weariness, but a close and sweet joy. Yet did I have a new anxiousness, as you do perceive, lest that any monster come to harm mine own. And we went 12 great hours in the bed of the olden sea, and did eat twice in that time. And surely the maid did grow utter weak and weary, for she was not come proper unto her strength, yet did she make no odd saying to tell me of this thing. But indeed I did know, and I stopped in the 13th hour, and took her into mine arms, even as I should carry a babe, and I went forward with her, and did hush her, protesting with a kiss. And afterward she did but nestle unto me, and shelter against my breast. And I bade the maid to sleep, but indeed she had no power to this end, for her body did ache very sore. But yet did she strive to give me an obedience in this thing. And in the 18th hour, when that I stopped to have food and drink, surely she did be awake, yet had she been utter silent. And I made to scold her, but she gat from mine arms, and did go upward upon her toes, and put her finger against my lips very naughtily. And afterward she did be impudent unto me, and did deny me to kiss her. But she went unto my back, and did open the scrip, and gat me to my food, even as a quiet and proper wife should go. As she did be so sedate that I knew she had mischief, her heart of harmless kind. But afterward this did pass sudden into weeping, for she had a quick and sore memory of her father and of the destruction. And I took the maid into mine arms, and did let her be there very gentle, and made not to kiss or to comfort her, but yet to give comfort. And presently she ceased from weeping, and did slip her hand into mine, and I to keep it within, very soft and quiet. And afterward she began to eat her tablets, yet always she did be very hushed, so that I did be all quiet also, and feel as that my love did be round her as a shield. And I knew that she had knowledge of this thing in her heart. And oft I harked into the night of the land, but there was nowhere any sound or disturbing of the aether to me. And the maid in mine arms did know when that I harked, for in verity she had the night hearing, and the understanding spirit that doth be needful to such. And odd whiles did I look down to her through the gloom that did be about us. And presently I did perceive that she looked up to me out of mine arms. And I kissed her. Now, in all that day we had come nowhere upon any fire-hole in the bed of the olden sea, and truly I did ache to be nigh unto the warmth of such, for I did feel the cold of the land, because that I was weary, and because that I had not the thickness of the armour-suit below mine armour to warm me. And the cloak did be about the maid, for I had feared that she should grow cold as I carried her. Yet now she did know subtly that I was come to feel the utter chill of the land. And she gat from mine arms, and put the cloak about me, and afterward came again into mine arms. And I let the cloak bide there, and drew it forward to be around her also. Yet truly I was joyful that I did be cold, as you shall perceive, for it was sweet to the heart to bear somewhat of that dread chill for mine own, and she half troubled and likewise with understanding of my heart, because that I was less clothed than I had been. Now, in a little while the maid did pack the scrip, and so we did make ready again to go forward, for I was grown anxious, as you may suppose, that we should come to some fire-hole, that we have a place for sleep that had warmth and light, for truly the cold of the land did be drear and horrid. And I stooped to take the maid into mine arms, that I should carry her, but she did say nay, that she did be well rested. And I do not gainsay her, for she did mean the thing, as I perceived, and I had no desire to force my way upon her, save when I saw truly that she did seem to go unwisely. And indeed, when such did be the case, I did strive with her only with a nice reasonableness, as you shall know. And the maid walked by my side, and wondrous silent, but yet very nigh to me, so that I knew she did be very full of love to me, and of that quaint and sweet humbleness that love doth breed odd whiles in a woman when she doth be with her man, if but that man be also her master. And presently I perceived that the cloak did be over mine own shoulders, and I took it, and would have put it about the maid, but truly she did not allow this. And when I did be stern with her, that she obey me in this matter, she did stand upon her toes, that she might kiss me, and pulled my head down, and surely she kissed me and coaxed me that I wear the cloak, else should I give pain to her, in that I did surely be cold, because she did wear the armour suit. Yet I would not hark to this thing, so that the maid did be truly in trouble. And first she made a threatening that she wear but her olden garment that did be only rags, if that I did persist. But this I saw to be a foolishness, and scarce meant, as did as much need to smile at her as that I did think to scold her. But I did be firm that she wear the cloak. And lo, she went sudden into crying, and this had been beyond my thoughts. And truly it set me all adrift, for I perceived that she did be greatly distressed concerning this matter, when I had conceived that she did but mean this thing for tenderness' sake. But mine heart helped me to understand, and I saw how she did be truly shamed, in her sweet womanhood, if that I helped her not in this matter. For she did feel that she was made to do hurt unto that one that was her love. And this thing I do pray to think upon, that you understand. I do pray you to think upon, that you understand. For indeed, until that I was made to think, I had not seen it this wise for her. And in the end I came to agreement with the maid, that we wear the garment hour by hour in turn, and she to wear it the first hour, and I to wear it the second hour, and so to go forward. And truly this did be a happy arranging, but yet she stamped her foot a little as I put the cloak about her. And thrice in the hour did she ask me concerning the time that was gone, and surely, when the hour was but up, she had the cloak off in a moment, and went to my back, and cast it upon my shoulders, and after to my front, and made it fast upon my breast. And so eager and naughty was she to this, that I took her by the shoulders, and shook her somewhat, even as she had made to stamp at me, yet mayhaps with more of laughter. And she to take no heed at all, but to button the cloak, and be very sedate. Yet in verity I caught her up into mine arms, and kissed her, for a sweet and naughty maid, and she very willing, now that she had gotten something of her way. But yet in an hour I did have the cloak about her again, and so did straighten matters, as you shall conceive. Now, when we had gone forward through 5 great hours, I perceived that the maid did be utter worn, but yet did make presence that she was unwearied. And because I saw how she did be, I did heed and be anxious only that we come to some rock, to be for our safe refuge, and mayhap there to find a hole or cave that should be somewhat to keep our heat about us, for there was nowhere any fire-hole anigh in all those hours. And presently we came to a part where there did be rocks, and we went to and fro in the gloom, and came in the end to a place where the rocks did go upward into the night, as that it had been a small and ancient cliff. And surely, in a while, I found a hole that did go inwards of the rock, and the hole did be above my head. And when I was come to it, and had made the discourse to spin therein, that I should have light to see whether there did be any creature or creeping thing in the hole, I was well pleased, for truly it did be sweet and dry. Now the maid had cried out a little to see the sudden shining that did come from within the hole, when I made the discourse to spin, and because of the low roar of the weapon. But I answered her that there did be naught to have fear concerning, and so was she peaceful again, but yet a little trembling when that I came down to her. For, indeed, the discourse did make always a strange sounding, and a quaint and drear shining, as you do know. And she did be feared for me that some evil force had come upon me out of the cave, for she had neither knowledge nor conceiving that ever there did be so wondrous a weapon in all the world. And I gave the maid a help upward to the little cave, and came after myself, and so we did be in a very nice and cosy place that did not be easily gotten at by any monstrous thing, and surely I was utter glad for such a place, so that both should have safety, that we might sleep in the same hours. And, in truth, this was a needful plan, for if one had stayed wakeful to keep a watch for the other, then had our sleep taken us double hours, and this thing might not be, else should our food be done, and we to be twice so long as need be, ere ever we did come to the refuge of the mighty pyramid. And I, utter wearied and anxious of the heart and spirit, that I bring mine own soon unto the safety and glory of my mighty home, and so free from the destruction that did hang above our two souls for ever in that land, and the peril that did be everywhere, save in the last redoubt. Now, when we were come into the hole of the rock, the maid did slip the scrip and pouch from my shoulders. Then she gat out the tablets, and made some of the water, and did be very swift and natty, and all to the despite of the gloom that did be utter in that little cave. And we eat each of us 2 of the tablets, and drank some of the water, and I made jest with the maid how the tablets did be proper for strength, yet very lacking to fill the belly, though indeed I named it otherwise. And she to agree, and did pat mine arm, and did tell me how that she should cook me a monstrous tasty and great meal when that we were come unto the mighty pyramid. And immediately afterward she did make to laugh upon me, and to name me impudently for so much thought unto my feeding, and afterward again to silence, and to patting my hand. Now, when that we had made an end of eating and drinking, I was very ready for sleep, for truly it was 26 great hours since that I did last slumber, but for the maid it did be 38 great hours, for, as you do mind, she had made no sleeping when that she did lie in mine arms for 6 hours of our journeying. And I made how we should sleep, and put the cloak about the maid, but surely she did refuse, very piteous, and seeming to have also somewhat of doubt and puzzlement. But in this thing I did be very stern and intending, for she did not be over warm clad, as you do know, and moreover she was but a little one, while I did be wondrous hardy. And, in verity, I made her to obey, and gave her the scrip and the pouch for her pillow, and she, as it did seem to me, to sob to herself a little in the gloom of the night. But yet did I stay my heart a little stern to mine intent, and I wrapped the cloak about her, and set the scrip and the pouch very nice beneath her head, and afterward I knelt over to kiss her, before that I came unto mine own slumber. Yet did she turn her mouth from me, and did put her hand above her face to ward me off, the which did grieve me. For truly I did heed alway that I should never thrust my love upon her in her lonesomeness, but only let it be to her for a shield, and for all comfort unto her heart. And I turned my back, and went a pace away, and lay down. For truly there did be no way else but to be near unto the maid, for it was but a little cave. And I lay very hushed, because that I was so sore in the heart. Yet truly I could not come unto my slumber, for I was so disturbed in my love. And I stayed very quiet, maybe for a great hour, and did fight that I shake not mine armour to jinglings, with the utter cold that did make me to tremble. But the maid did sleep very sweet and calm, as I perceived by her breathings. Yet, in verity, the maid did be so much awake as I, and with some sweet and naughty intent of the heart, as my spirit did sudden perceive. And I lay very hushed, and did wait to discover what this thing might be. And I made my breathing to seem as the breathing of one that did sleep, even as the naughty maid did make pretending. And surely, in a while I did know that she moved very quiet, and came unto me. And I made yet that I slept very sound and strong, though the cold did nigh to conquer all my quietness. And in a moment I perceived the intent of the maid, for I did feel the cloak spread over me with a wondrous gentleness, and afterward there did be a soft kiss put upon my hand, and the maid back then to her pillow. Yet, as I did hear, she brought it something more nigh to me, as that she did crave to be near unto me that was her own love. And I sat up, and put forth my hand suddenly, and took the maid into mine arms, and she to nestle unto me, so that I did be wordless, because that I loved her so utter. And presently I felt her to stir in mine arms, and I loosed her somewhat, for I did be always very mindful that I imposed not upon her dear liberty of maidenhood. Yet she made not to go from me, but only to gather the cloak about her, so that we did both be in the cloak. And she asked why this might not be. For surely it did be madness that one should starve and the other be very nice in warmth. And, indeed, this did be but wisdom, yet it might not come the first from me. And I said to mine own that this thing should be, and she reached out and brought the scrip and the pouch, and placed them for a pillow for my head, and told me that I should put my head thereon. And I asked her how this did be right, for she did need a pillow the more than I. But she bid me to bide, and to have obedience in my turn. And when I was so, she spread the cloak over me, and afterward crept under, and did lie down beside me, and did seem as that she was asleep in one moment. Yet, though she did be so sedate, and matter of the fact, as we do say, while that she was wakeful, she did yet nestle unto me very sweet and childlike in her sleep. And surely I did want to kiss her, but yet did refrain from my love, for truly I did well that I treat her very gently at such a time as you do perceive. And, in verity, such a maid doth make a reverence in the soul of a man. Now, presently I was gone over unto sleep, and in 7 hours I waked, and in that time the maid slumbered through 8 hours. Yet did I intend that she be not disturbed until that we were a-ready to the journey. And I slipped from under the cloak and put it round her very gentle. Yet it's to be as she did miss me, even in her sleep, for it to seem to me that she put out her arms in the darkness, and she made a little moaning in her slumber. Yet in a moment she did be quiet, and afterward I put the cloak about her again. And I went then to the opening of the little cave, and put forth my head, and looked well about, and harked a long while, but there stirred nothing in the night thereabout, neither did my spirit wot of any matter for trouble unto us. And presently I gat out 2 of the tablets, for as you do know, the maid had given me the scrip and the pouch to be my pillow, so that I had power to come at these matters without awaking her. But for her own part, I did learn after she had used her torn garments to be for a pillow, yet had made no explaining, as you do mind. And surely this one was of her naughty whimsies, This was one of her naughty whimsies. Don't know what happened there. And mayhap she had been so full of a playful happiness, as doth take the heart betimes, and she had made a little mystery where there did be no mystery. But this but to release her joy, and so to say masterful things unto me, out of her impudence, and afterward had meant that she tell me, but yet was gone unto slumber, ere that she did mind her. Yet, since that time, a new thought had come unto me, that she did mean, in the first, that she should come into mine arms to sleep, and thereby need no pillow. But afterward, it may hap that she saw with a sudden olden wisdom, all in one moment, and afterward did act lovingly, yet with understanding, and so did change from her intent, yet with no improperness of modesty, but only with a niceness of sense, which she did make no talk of, but yet did have. And surely how oft is a man thus wisely ordered, unknowing? And to cease from these thinkings and to go forward, I eat 2 of the tablets, and afterward made some of the water. And lo, the fizzing of the water waked the maid, and I knew that she reached out very sudden to me, but afterward knew in a moment what did make the sound, and that I did be up and making ready for the journeying. And she gat up in the darkness, and said my name, and came unto me, and kissed my forehead in the dark. And immediately she ran her hands gently downward of my left arm, and when she came to the cup, she took it from me, and slapped my hand very dainty. And afterward I knew that she took a sip from the cup, and then did turn that side to me, and so gave me to drink, and did scold me that I had not waked her to tend to my needs. For surely she did be mine own, and to have her duties to me. And after that I had drank, she took the cup and did finish it, and she gat 2 of the tablets, as I did think, and came afterward, and sat upon the rock to my side, and did nestle somewhat against mine armour, and took mine arm and set it about her, and so did make to eat. But first she put her tablet unto my lips, in the dark, that I should kiss it, and surely this was an olden way of Meerdath, my beautiful one, so that I did be all shaken of the heart. And I kissed the tablet, and immediately she nestled unto me, and did begin to eat. And truly it was as that eternity had been rolled backward, for I had discovered the soul of mine olden love in this dainty maid to my side. Yet in looks had Meerdath been of an utter differing, but in verity Nani was wondrous lovely, and though I to be so stirred, I did be silent, for my heart was very full of memory. And as the maid eat, she slipped her fingers between mine, curling them softly, and surely her fingers did be very little, and she stirred mine olden memories again in this thing, and surely I was dumb before my memory. And presently she put up the second tablet, as I did think, that I should kiss it, and I kissed it as before. Yet, ere she did begin again to eat, I did wot suddenly that she hid some intent from me. And I caught her hand very quick in the dark, and her fingers did close upon the tablet very guilty, so that I perceived that I had guessed aright. And I opened her fingers, and found that there did be but the half of a tablet within her hand. And surely she had taken but that one tablet, and had given me the one end to kiss, and afterward the other, so that I should suppose she did eat 2 proper and complete tablets. And I perceived that she had done this thing secretly, being minded that if she eat always but 1 tablet, then should I never lack, even if that we did be over long coming unto the mighty pyramid. And I asked how oft already she had eat but 1 for 2, and she confessed in a very quiet voice that this did make the 5th time. And I was so angered that I took her hand and whipped it thrice, so hard that she had screamed if that she had been any coward. And she said nothing to me, neither went away. and she began again to eat the half of the tablet, and did eat it from the other hand, as I to be aware, because that her left hand did be hurt. And she wept not, but was very quiet by me, and presently I knew that she kissed the whipped hand secretly in the dark. And afterward I put mine arm again about her, and she did be there in it, very sober and happy. And when she had made an end of the first tablet, I gave her the second, and she eat it very quiet and content. And presently I talked with her, and showed her how that this thing did hurt my heart, even as that she had been hurt, that I did be cold garmented, the while that she did be warm. And I showed her the wickedness that she had done, that she did play so foolish with her life and strength, and well might she be weak and all alack. Yet did I think a little sweet impudence came into her, as I told her concerning her wickedness. And I took her then into mine arms, and I showed her how that I knew all the unselfishness and wonder of her heart. And I kissed her, and truly did her lips have a lovely glad humbleness, as that they came unto mine, though that it was as that I had not kissed her truly until that moment. And I made her to promise that she never deceive me in such matter again. And indeed she promised, but yet with no ready tongue. And afterward we made proper for the journey, and when we had gotten our gear together, I went downward of the rock, and gave the maid help to come down. And when we did stand at last upon the bottom of the rock, I asked Nanny how she did feel, and whether her feet did hurt. And she answered that she did be very well, and had no soreness in her feet. And we went forward then, and she close unto me, and odd whiles with low speech, but more oft with silence, because that we did need that we hark alway for any danger or horror. And also there did be so utter a silence upon that part of the land, which did be the bottom of the olden sea. And we eat and drank at the 6th and the 12th hours, and in the 15th hour we came upon a great slope of the earth, and lo, it did be the far side of the sea. And we went upward for a long hour, and so came to the upward part, and did be able once more to look over the greatness of that land. And that brings us to the end of the chapter, and where we shall finish for tonight. Thank you for listening. And for tolerating the utter bastard that this guy is. I hate this man so much. Yeah, this is why I'm like, oh, you know, I love her so much. She's so important, so wonderful. So look, she's so precious to me, mine own, my old great love, who is my maid, who, you know, has her wifely duties, so she's got to like cook me a good meal when we get home, obviously. But I love her so much. She's so important and precious. And how I would feel if any harm came to her, like anything bad should befall her, she's a sexy child, yeah, like what would happen? Oh, but, you know, in order to show her how severe, how like important it is that she be safe, I'm going to whip her hand so badly that it hurts enough for her to, like, you shouldn't do that anyway, regardless of how much it causes hurt, but it hurts her so much that she has to use her other hands to eat with, because she can't use her left hand because it hurts so much. But don't worry, I then went and put my arm around her and told her that, you know, it's for her own good. And yeah, like, and as they're climbing down the rock, when she's got her shoes on her pretty dainty little childlike feet, and he asks her, you know, do your feet hurt? Like, no, feet are fine. How's her hand, buddy? Yeah. Plus, just, you know, we need to sleep. We only have one blanket. How do we keep warm? Well, one of us should have the blanket and the other one should freeze. Or, I'm just saying, you could snuggle up. You could do that. You can do that. You can keep each other warm in that fashion. It doesn't matter that it's improper. put protocol aside. Cuddle up. Share the blanket. Be warm. Don't die cold but conforming to society's standards. No one can see. It's okay. Yeah, this is not... It's not my favourite chapter in the book. It's, like, honestly, sort of what I was dreading. Because you kind of... Yeah, I don't know... I don't know how much of this is a reflection of the author's views and how much of it... Because, you know, it's written 1911. I don't know how much of it is a reflection of his views and how, you know, a man, the relationship between a man and a woman in this position, how it should function. You know, broadly the society that he was a part of would have been Christian. I don't know how firmly he held to those views, but, you know, the attitudes taught within that, certainly at that time, and let's not pretend it's not still taught today, is that, you know, the woman is subservient to the man and all of that bollocks. You'd think so many years in the future they would have figured it out. Well, yeah, this is the thing. It's like set far in the distant future, and yet, you know, she is still his own to protect and to beat as he sees fit. It feels old-fashioned even for the 1910s. Yeah. And so, yeah, so I don't know how much of this is his own views and how much of this is him thinking, well, this is what this character who's like ideals, I don't know, yeah, ideals, let's go with that, you know, way older than the 1910s, so maybe he himself might be a little bit more progressive, but I don't know. I don't like the, well, the author wrote this, so therefore they must believe this, but also, past a point, you know, you're going to look at something and go, how much of this reflects your own attitudes? Sure, there were still people that thought like that then, obviously, but, like, we had suffragists by that point. Yeah. So, yeah, when I was reading it earlier today, I was like, oh, mate, really? Did you, yeah, really? Yeah. Yeah. Because, like, yeah, like earlier on in the chapters, like, I stooped to take the maid into mine arms that I should carry her, but she did say nay, that she did be well rested, and I not to gainsay her, for she did mean the thing as I perceived, and I had no desire to force my way upon her, save when I saw truly that she did seem to go unwisely. By that, and you know, and indeed, when such did be the case, I did strive with her only with a nice reasonableness, as you shall know. You liar! You absolutely just like, look, I'm not gonna. She is a strong, free, independent woman. She's frankly made it out. She's not in a great condition, but she's made out here a month by herself, so she must have been doing something. And so therefore, it's not my place. It is not my place to tell her how to live. Like what? I'm not going to tell her what to do, unless I can see that she's about to walk into a hole. And that's fair and valid. Like, you know, don't tell someone what to do. Just help them to not die. That's fine and good. Unless she says she's not been eating all the food that she's meant to have been because she thought it would be an act of kindness to you to make sure that you had enough food and she thought she could be okay on half rations. Then I guess you have permission to beat her. It's, yeah, kind of messed up. A little annoying. But yeah. And he makes such a big deal about how proper and chivalrous he is for not kissing her when she doesn't want to be kissed. Yeah, like, she... And, you know, it's not a lot of points in the plus column, but he did go to kiss her and she said, hey, not right now. And he was like, yo, okay, fine. It didn't. Like, as I say, it's not a big score. It's something. It's not nothing, it's something, but it's not You know, you're not going to get a trophy for it, buddy. Yeah, exactly. Way to throw yourself a party for doing the absolute bare minimum. You're so brave for falling asleep with that as good night kiss. And like, like, not that scenario. I can relate to the whole, like, you know, good night, love you, and you in return you get like a yeah, and like, oh no. You thought everything was okay, and just at the last second, as you're like saying goodnight, you've just been given a very clear message that something's wrong. You know, that hurts. I can relate to like having a bit of a sleepless night over something like that. But again, as you say, don't go giving yourself a medal for it. That's you grow up. Maybe if you weren't such an asshole to her, things might have been better. And it's just because she wants to put a blanket over you, dude. Just like talk about it. Explain. Have a conversation. Don't tell her what to do. Talk about it with her. Discuss this like people. Treat her as an equal, even, rather than some precious little dainty child. It's just not right. So, you know, that was a chapter in the book, and I don't know where it's going, but yeah, I was sort of dreading the point at which they meet, because I had a fear that it would be kind of weird, uncomfortable, and regressive. And yeah, sure is. Yeah, preferably underpinning all of this, preferably without hitting her. If that's something you can manage in order to protect someone and keep them safe, do not commit an act of physical violence towards them. Once again, extremely low bar. It is not a difficult challenge. Ideally speaking, yeah. If you could find it within yourself, give it a shot. Give it a go. See if you can manage this simple task. Yeah. I got no defense. Like that, I think that because I looked up and saw Andy's comment as well about like if he describes her as naughty one more time, I swear to God. And yeah, I didn't like the repeated describing her as like naughty and mention to her naughtiness. There was partly me. I was partly thinking like it's possible to me that the meaning of the word has shifted slightly because through all of that, there's a lot of like playfulness described, and that's kind of what Mirdath was like at the start of the book, where she had this kind of slightly sort of cheeky streak, where and how it manifested was her being like, "Nope, I'm actually dating this other guy instead, he," and that just made him angry and turned him into an asshole. But she does seem to have this like, impudent sort of playful streak, which is describing as naughty. But then she keeps like shushing him, like putting a finger on his mouth and going hush, and that. So I sort of got the impression through the text that perhaps by naughty it just sort of means like, she's dicking about, but she's being playful with it, and he's like, it's sort of they're on the same level there. And then he whips her. So like the author's thinly disguised kink. Oh, that's just feet. That's just feet all the way down, which were dainty and beautiful, and pretty and small. Like, buddy, that's yeah. But that brings us to the end of the chapter. Also, I saw you sneaking in, Stephen, just after I'd started the second half. I always feel like when I've literally just started reading and someone sort of pops in with like, "Hi," I always want to like break off and just be like, "Hey, welcome in." But I must remain focused on the work. This is very serious. No, it's not. But yes, hello, welcome. I see you there. I hope you're well, if you're still around. Yeah, that brings us to the end of the stream, just for tonight. Don't worry, it will continue. So I'm going to go. I do not think I'm going to raid anywhere, because if I raid somewhere, then I will feel obligated to stick around in chat and say hi, which is fine and nice, except that I think I've just seen the DJ that I watch has gone live, and I had perhaps impudently, perhaps naughtily earlier considered, hey, wouldn't it be funny to raid over there and go from this to that? But no, I don't want to do that. I think it would just be for me. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to end the stream and I'm going to go hang out over there instead and watch some cool tunes for the evening. So yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If you've been listening on YouTube and you've made it this far, thank you also. That's me. I'm impudent to the bone. Yeah, if you've listened on YouTube, thank you. We do appreciate the people that catch up over there. I know Lucy won't be back on Wednesday because she's not around. So, what on earth? Oh, Discord. I just glanced at Discord because the thing just popped up and said, eBay live, get reward. No. No. I won't. I shan't. So yeah, I'll probably try and do some streams on Longest John's if I can this week. Maybe something over there. For every game I finish, I start another 3. So I should probably try and finish something out. Maybe I could try and finish Kentucky Route Zero. Wouldn't that be cool? And also, I've got so many things. Yeah, we'll find something. I'll try and stream over there. But yes, I want to do some Kentucky Route Zero. I also have in my immediate within reach possession just DVD copies, but they're the films nonetheless, of Oh Brother Where Art Thou and Arrival. So those will be coming up for a movie night at some point soon. And looming ever large as the days tick by on the horizon, Book Week is it's coming up real soon. We need to plan. So these are all things that you can look forward to in some form. But for now, I'm going to go. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourselves. If it is warm where you are, I hope that it is a manageable amount. And if it is not, then I hope you are also at a comfortable temperature. Shall we watch Love and Monsters when we're done with this book? I do not know about this. Probably been mentioned before, but I will need to look up what that is. We also, I would like to try and do some kind of. We talked about it before. I figured we had. I don't remember what's been said about it, but we should also watch Widow's Bay. And like try and get through Widow's Bay in like a day or two or something, because I think everyone would love Widow's Bay. It's extremely good. But yes, I'm gonna go. So take care of yourselves, be well, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye and good night.